Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Hi there, Phil here, and welcome to episode 31 of the IT Career Energizer, a weekly podcast where I chat with inspiring IT professionals, consultants, and experts from around the world. You can find out more about the podcast by visiting itcareerenergizer.com. And now let's chat with today's guest, Rob Conery. Rob has been working in the technology field since 1998 as a DBA and then a web developer, originally with a focus on Microsoft ASP.NET. Rob is also author of the Imposter's Handbook, which is a compendium of skills and concepts for any self-taught programmer. So Rob, can I ask you to expand on that brief bio and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
There's a lot, 22, 23 years I've been doing this. It's interesting. I was just talking to a friend about that the other day. That I've been doing this long enough where recounting things is just a long string of and then this and then that. I have been all over the place. I mean, my career started as I was doing databases with the advent of the web. A friend of mine said, hey, you can write a web page and hook it up to a database. And then off we went. The web exploded. We started a company. It was worth $36 million at one point. I almost got acquired.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. The bubble exploded. Then I got a job as a CTO of a company that I utterly hated. Then I, started dabbling with .NET and building out data access tools. Next thing I know, I'm working at Microsoft on the ASP team. And then I left there. I founded a company and started doing videos. And at that point, another company said, hey, that sounds neat. They bought me. And now I'm back on my own again, writing books. It's like a long, winding path.
Sounds very interesting. It sounds like you've had a real track career in terms of, I suppose, front end or web enablement.
It's weird. I gravitate in both directions at any given moment, it seems. So, I'm perfectly happy to sit down and write out a beautiful back-end database, which is my first love.
Yep.
I'll write some back-end system stuff, doing some, like with Elixir, I did that, writing these little processes to do parallel, processing of anything. And then also, I'll sit down with like Vue.js and Firebase and do something on the front end too.
Rob, can you tell us maybe about your worst IT career moment and what you learned from that experience?
Oh, geez. I feel like I've had so many. I've been fired. I'm writing a book here. I'm taking a break from writing it to talk to you and do the podcast. But I was just writing a story about accidentally dropping the production database. That happened to me.
Yes.
It ranges from failures to personal humiliations. So it's hard to put a label on the worst, but I have to say probably the one that just pops to mind right now would be I took a job as a CTO at this company. And I knew that once I got hired and I went in and started meeting everybody there, I realized, this is just one of these shops where, it's like one person, the owner, controls everything and you just give it a title and it doesn't mean a thing. And then I found cocaine on her desk and just this whole thing. And then the next thing I know, I'm like being threatened with a lawsuit from their lawyer. And I just walked out of the building. This is after 7 months of trying to help them, and I remember just kind of gingerly walking out of the building, turning off my cell phone, throwing it into the San Francisco Bay and basically just hoping that her husband, who is a Teamster, didn't find me. So
yes,
that happened. Mm-hmm. Well, that was like post bubble 1.0. It's like these jobs were not hard to find.
So moving on, maybe from your worst moment, can you tell us about your IT career highlight or greatest success?
Well, I guess the highlight would have to be the book that I wrote, and I love to write, and it's funny because as I transitioned away from the company Pluralsight that I was working with, telling my wife, it might be time for a career change just because I'd done so much with coding. And I said, I want to write. She's like, well, you could write a technical book, but make it more creative and fun. And I said, yeah, that's a good idea. So I did. And I followed my muse, as they say.
Yep.
And it did really well. I couldn't believe it. I've had others, podcasts. I did a podcast called This Developer's Life with Scott Hanselman that proved to be really popular and a wonderful creative outlet. I had a good time doing that. So I guess things like that. And also I have open source tools and some have been really successful and helped a lot of people. So it's kind of hard to pick just one.
In terms of the book, when was that first published?
That came out in August, about a year ago, a little over a year ago.
Right. And do you have an idea of how many copies you've sold?
Yeah, all too good of an idea. 11,322.
Wow, that's very accurate. That sounds fantastic.
It's one of the things that I have learned. It's the Peter Drucker thing. What gets measured gets managed.
Yes.
It took me until my almost 50s to learn that. So every day I sit down with my numbers and we cuddle and I try to figure out what's the day's event's going to be.
Yep. What excites you about the future of the IT career industry and maybe careers in IT? So for people who are coming into the industry in particular, where do you think it's going and where's the excitement going to be?
Oh, wow. Did you just push a big hot button? The fun work, I don't know. And again, this is like, me being almost 50, having a conversation with a friend the other day. I don't know if the fun work still exists. I mean, I'm sure it does, right?
Yeah.
But the fun work for me back in the day was no one had rules or structures or anything. And you had to go figure it out. You sat down with MSDN magazine and you tried to figure it out. And then boom, you did it, gave your client what they asked for, helped them make sure it was live and running, and they gave you a check and everyone was happy. And nowadays it's so laden down with like so much fatigue in JavaScript world or anywhere else really. And I was thinking about this, like, where is the fun? Because that's where I want to be. That's where I want to go. And I thought, well, maybe it's data analysis and machine learning. And it could be. So, I'd say go wherever people haven't been already. You know what I mean? Make it up if you have to.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think there is opportunity there, and recognizing things that are new and things that interest you more than anything else is probably where to go.
Well, I'll give you, for instance, I enjoy writing, but writing is one of those things. My wife graduated with a creative writing degree. She basically has that writer's thing of like, everything's already been said 10 times over. What's the point? Like, because you're writing it is the point. But I could see what she meant. It's that burden of trying to be creative and do something new, which is a way what you're asking. Where's the excitement? And for me, I want to write. But as I started thinking about it and just letting my muse kind of fly around the room, so to speak, I started winding my way into these really interesting areas of, like, The Martian. Did you ever read The Martian?
I haven't.
Fantastic book. The movie's great, but the book reinvigorated me in terms of writing. And I thought, it's so interesting because it's a sci-fi book, but there's tons of science in it that grab geeks like me and just pull you in. But I thought, what if you flipped that around? What if you made a tech book that was also a heavy dose of science fiction?
Yes.
And so no one's ever done that to my knowledge. So that's actually what I'm doing at this moment.
Ah, right. We're going to go into the reveal round now. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm. Sure, hit me.
Okay. So what first attracted you to a career in IT?
Money.
Uh-huh.
I hate to say it. It's true. Money. But I was a geologist when I started.
Yep.
Making nothing. And I just saw the money flying. I was like, I'm in. Sorry, it's just true. I do like to write code, and but money.
What is the best career advice you've ever received?
As a friend of mine, will always remember this. I was sitting there trying to code something one day, and I think I was 4 or 5 years into my career, and I was swearing and pounding the table because I couldn't figure it out. And he came up to me, and he's a good friend of mine. He put his hand on my shoulder and he said, you sound really ignorant when you're yelling like that. And I was like, geez, Dave, thanks. And he goes, no, it's just your friend want you to know. And I remember that to this day, just being around people and how to conduct yourself.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Yep. If you were to begin your IT career again right now, what would you do?
Databases. Always databases. To me, it's where the value is. It's where the business is. It's where everything is. Code comes and goes, but your database is forever. And it's the thing.
Yeah. So when you say databases, are you talking about the data itself or actually the structure?
All of it, really. Anything you can do to be involved with the data. It's the old joke, the office joke. It's the person who knows Excel the best that has the the best job assurance. They will be around forever. The person who's closest to the database is the last person out the door always, because that is the most valuable job. So whether you get into analysis, whether you get into structuring the data or understanding it, anything, the data is always the gold and is always the most fun and it's the most power.
It is. Certainly for most businesses, the data is where the value is.
Yeah, well, small tangent. I know we're on a timeline here, but I have to tell you this. I always get in an argument with people about the most valuable aspect of a business, and I always say it's the database. And they argue with me, no, it's the IP and the code. And I said, you lose your source repo, I'll replace it with WordPress in a week. I know that's how that sounds. Yes. You lose the database, the business goes under in 2 days tops. There's no way if you lose that data, you're dead, you're gone.
Yeah, agreed.
And make people mad with that WordPress comment.
So what career objectives are you currently focusing on? Obviously, you've mentioned the book. Are there other things you're working on as well?
Right now, books and videos. I have a couple of ideas. Honestly, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to not have a plan, because I find that if I follow a creative muse, it takes me places that I want to go. And I know that might sound privileged of me, but believe it or not, I'm like struggling to get by financially, but it's even worse if I have a plan, because then I just ruin myself. So I guess my objective is to just follow what feels good and feels right.
What's the number one non-technical skill that's helped you in your career so far?
Empathy. I've always been an empathetic person, and I can read people fairly quickly. And just listening, and it's one of the things I like to do. And I have been able to sit in a room with people and be diplomatic. I've been able to push. I've always kind of had a good gauge of what the mood is. And I think that's helped me the most, especially dodge controversy.
Rob, can you share a parting piece of career advice with the IT Career Energizer audience?
Oh, man. I would say, there's no one solid thing that anyone's going to tell you that's going to put you on a path. I mean, you really just have to listen to yourself and do it. Yeah, I know that sounds so pat. It sounds so basic, but it's the truth. You get an idea, follow it, see where it takes you. I'll give you, for instance, I had a friend call me from Google. It's about 6 months ago now. And I said, I don't want to work at Google. I'm happy where I am. And he said, well, come on in. So I started an interview loop, and I just thought, I don't know why I'm doing this. Then I got interested in actually working there, and I had to study how to do all these things. And I kept saying, like, I don't want to be here. I want to do what I'm doing. Long story short, what came out of it was this interview video that I did that I'm really proud of and I liked. So you never know what's going to happen, but you just kind of have to follow what you think is right.
Good advice. And finally, what's the best way we can find out more about you and potentially connect with you?
Sure. I have a blog. It's rob.conery.io. Conery is spelled Conery. My company is Big Machine, so you can find that at Big Machine, all one word, .io. And yeah, I mean, I guess just throw a Google search out there. I have a Medium blog. I'm on Twitter as well, though I hate Twitter. These days it's turning into just a nasty, nasty area. So yeah.
Rob, thanks so much for joining me on the IT Career Energizer podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's great interview with Rob Conery. Full show notes can be found on the website at itcareerenergizer.com/E31. In next week's episode, I'll be talking with Corey House, who is a Pluralsight author, Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, software architect, international speaker, and principal at React.js Consulting. And if you haven't done so already, please remember to subscribe to the podcast to get future episodes automatically downloaded to your device. And remember, if you're not growing your career, you're slowing your career. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.